cave of wonders. Back in 1961, an Israeli archaeologist accidentally found a massive hoard of ancient relics. Among these relics was what researchers say is the oldest crown in the entire world. It happened while Bar Adon was rappelling down a sheer cliff in the Nahal Mishmar region of the Dead Sea. He came across a cave that was like something out of Aladdin, an actual cave of wonders. Inside the dark confines of the cavern were over 400 prized artifacts made from ivory, copper, and bronze. But by far, the most spectacular treasure of all was the crown. It doesn't look like your typical crown, and it certainly wasn't studded with an assortment of diamonds and jewels. It's merely a circular piece of copper with what appear to be vultures decorating it. Number 9. Mosby's treasure. There is said to be a treasure of immense value hidden in the forest of Fairfax County, Virginia. The treasure was worth $350,000 when it was buried in the 1800s. Today, it would be worth over $6 million. It all started with John Mosby. Mosby and his group of men raided the Fairfax County Courthouse in the middle of the night. And that was where they found $350,000 in gold and jewelry, a collection of countless heirlooms that had been taken by Union troops from homes in the South. Mosby and his team of rangers quietly left Fairfax, but on their way back to friendly territory, they came across a large detachment of enemy soldiers. To keep the treasure safe, Mosby and his most trusted sergeant left their detachment and buried the treasure under a tree. That treasure was never seen again, at least not officially. Some say the sergeant double-crossed Mosby and went back to steal the gold. Number 8. Victorio Peak Treasure. Milton Doc Noss, a local deer hunter, went in search of fresh water. That was when he found the entrance to a mysteriously hidden tunnel near the mountain's peak. Even stranger was that he found an old ladder that someone had placed there before, and it led deep into a cavern in the mountain. Deep inside, he found a chest filled with silver coins. But that wasn't all. There were passageways leading to other caverns, and almost every cave had chests full of gold and jewels. He ended up extracting at least 200 gold bars from the cave, although there are said to be over 16,000 total. But then Milton started to go a little insane. Then in 1939, he accidentally caused a collapse inside the mountain using dynamite, sealing himself out of his own mine. In 1952, the United States Army took ownership of the collapsed mine and forced the Noss family off their own land. Number 7. Civil War gold. In 2018, an agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation applied for a federal warrant to seize a legendary trove of government gold that was supposedly stolen over a century ago during the Civil War. Treasure hunters believe the FBI made off with the gold and hid it in a cave in Pennsylvania, then covered the whole thing up. A federal judge unsealed the case documents to show that the FBI had indeed gone in search of the legendary lost gold. The FBI believed there was a significant cache of gold, more than 1 or 2 tons. Nobody ever found the gold, which for the record was allegedly stolen on its way to the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia in 1863. Number 6. Lake Guatavita. Lake Guatavita in Colombia is one of the most mysterious places in the whole country. According to the Spanish chronicler Francisco López, the conquistadors first heard of the lake while in Panama. They heard of a strange location in the mountains that was so rich in gold that men would get bored of it. The area was occupied by the Muisca people. The lake was the holiest site for these indigenous inhabitants, and they believed it was filled with gods. To satisfy these gods, they would throw all of their most precious gold trinkets into the water. And so, 1537 was the beginning of a gold rush that would go on for 375 years. There was an attempt made in 1652 by Antonio Sepulveda to dig a discharge canal to completely drain the lake, but it didn't work. English adventurers came and also tried to dive to the bottom, as did the Germans. And then in 1912, the government tried to drain the lake using new technology. But as far as we know, the treasure is still down there, and nobody has been able to find it. Number 5. Island of Gold. In the Musi River of Indonesia, local divers recently discovered a small collection of artifacts. They came across gold rings in the muck of the riverbed, as well as precious beads and other unbelievable artifacts. The entire riverbed was found to be practically covered in jewels. Researchers believe the artifacts at the bottom of the river likely belong to the Srivijaya Empire. Divers have been finding bits and pieces of the city for the last 5 years. Now it looks like the priceless treasure that once made this city rich is bubbling back to the surface. Number 4. Nazi gold in Lake Toplitz. In the dead mountains of Austria, about 40 miles from the city of Salzburg, lies Lake Toplitz, and according to some, the bottom of the lake is littered with Nazi gold. We know that in 1944, the German Navy established a testing station on the shores of the lake, testing things like torpedoes and weapons. In 1945, the locals began trying to cash British banknotes. It was crazy because these people had no real access to British currency, yet everyone and their dog was suddenly loaded with British cash. An investigation revealed that they had gotten the money from the banks of the lake, where it was washing up like soggy leaves. Clearly, the Nazis had dumped some kind of treasure into the water, and since then, as far as we know, there hasn't been any gold found. Number 3. The treasure of Robinson Crusoe Island. Robinson Crusoe Island is a remote piece of land in Chile protected by UNESCO as a special biosphere reserve. This is really hampering a Dutch millionaire's plans for digging up a massive treasure worth roughly $10 billion. His name is Bernard Kaiser, when English pirate Cornelius Webb supposedly buried a stolen treasure from Peru on the island. An estimated 800 barrels of gold ingots, gems, silver, and more. Bernard Kaiser has been looking for the treasure for 20 years, but now the Chilean government gave him permission to use heavy diggers to rip the island apart to find the treasure once and for all. Number 2. The Oak Island Mystery. Oak Island is in the Canadian province of Nova Scotia, and ever since the 18th century, people have been trying to find treasure on the island. Some say pirates buried treasure there, some say the Holy Grail is hidden on the island, and others say the Ark of the Covenant is there. It's called the Money Pit. The issue is that after a certain amount of digging, the hole fills with seawater, and there is no way of stopping it. Number 1. The Amber Room. The Amber Room is one of the few enduring mysteries of World War II. The Amber Room was considered the 8th wonder of the world and was a treasured Russian artifact. The room was a Russian treasure up until 1941, when Hitler's forces entered St. Petersburg. The Amber Room was disassembled, put in boxes, and never seen again.